Where's everybody? There's still a bunch in there? Well, there has to be some.
You don't have pizza?
No.
It's the first of the month.
It's the second of the month.
Because we didn't have it last week.
I didn't get a check to get the pizza.
Oh.
Here we go. Are we ready? Oh.
Wandering into the night, wanting a place to hide this weary soul, this bag of bones. I try with all my might, but I just can't win the fight. I'm slowly drifting, a vagabond. Just when I ran out of road, I met a man I didn't know, and he told me that I was not alone. Pick me up, turn me around, and place my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because you hear my heart, you changed my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God. I cannot deny what I've seen. No choice but to believe. My doubts are burning like ashes wind. So long to my old friends, burning and bitterness. You just keep on moving. Nah, you ain't welcome here. From now till I walk streets of gold, I sing aloud, you save my soul. This wayward son has found his way back home. You pick me up, turn me around, place my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because you hear my heart, you change my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God. Get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Pick me up, turn me around, place my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because you heal my heart, change my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God. Get up, I lost another one. I am free. I am free. I am free. I lost another one. I am free. I am free. I am free. I lost another one. I am free. I am free. I am free. I lost another one. I am free. I am free. Pick me up, turn me around, place my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, because you heal my heart, you change my name, forever free. I'm not the same. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God. Get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. Get up, get up, get up, get up out of that grave. You pick me up, you turn me around, and place my feet on solid ground. I thank the Master, I thank the Savior, I thank God. said the tomb away through the grave was empty inside. Ain't no other pull the greatest miracle of all time. You got power, demons cower when they hear your name call. You got power to cower down the miracles fall. You got power to devour any counterfeit war. Give me your tongue as a sword, cut the score. You are the Lord. Holy, you are the Lord. Holy, you are the Lord. Holy, you are the Lord. Holy. All those funerals you ruined when you made the dead rise. Heaven's healing, using spit in my open blind eyes. You got wonders I can't know who can counterfeit that. Call the doctor and the doctor said I'm giving you life. Tell your enemies the victory is already here. More than 60,000 angels just to take of the spear. One day every knee will bow and every heart will be yours. Even in the war, count the score. You are the Lord. Holy, you are the Lord. Holy, you are the Lord. Holy, you are the Lord. Holy. How many enemies and then enemies swallowed the pain of fear? Can't count on. How many raging seas open in front of me? How many victories? Can't count on. How many prophecies no one would ever believe? Now it's reality. Can't count on. How many broken men given a second chance? See all the lifted hands. How many Thomases doubted your promises? Standing here now convinced. Can't count on. How many hospitals said it's impossible? How many miracles? How many paralyzed given a different life? Don't want to testify. How many sinners saved? How many bodies raised? How many empty graves? Can't count them. All right, let's pray really quickly. Dear Jesus, I just thank you so much for everyone that's here tonight, Lord. I pray for the safety of those who aren't here that couldn't make it. I just pray that you would open our hearts and our minds to hear what you have to say to us, Lord, that we could start this new year fresh with you, Lord, and that you would be with Randy as he gives the word. In Jesus' name, amen.
Everybody back at school? Unfortunately. When'd you go back? Last week? Last Thursday? Because of a school day? I mean, because of a snow day or bad weather? So, it's good to be back. Trying to get back into a normal routine. How was, tell me how everybody's not Thanksgiving, Christmas was. Everybody have a good Christmas? Yeah? What was the best part? What's the best part of Christmas? Somebody tell me. Nothing in particular? Okay, that's great. Yeah, okay. What did you personally enjoy this year or last year for Christmas? A Batman knife. Probably, I would guarantee you that's probably not your smartest idea. Huh? Are you a Batman fan? Pretty cool knife. He collects knives, is that what you said? Oh, no. Yeah. Come on, what else? Christmas break, did you guys do anything? You did what? What'd you say? Oh, no. Well, that doesn't sound good. Well, my break was not great. I mean, we were sick at our house pretty much from Christmas Eve through like last week ago Wednesday. Oh, for Christmas?
Yeah, they started February.
Wow. Who got you those? Well, that's nice. Huh. Who's going with you, or is it just you? Did he get the same gift, or is a 2-for-1? And he huh? I'm sorry. I mean, that's great. Ballroom dancing. So yeah, this break was a little weird, different. I don't know. I didn't like it. So, a couple of announcements. First one, I have an apology. Not really anybody's fault, but this weekend. How many of you guys are going to Winter Jam? Winter Jam is this Friday. Yeah, I know. It snuck up on us, and so we're not. As a youth group, I will typically buy tickets. But this year is not going to happen. I mean, you can go. Everybody can go. I mean, it's not difficult. Just unfortunately, it all snuck up on us. With that being said, April 4th, 5th, and 6th. Everybody, note that weekend. Young Christians Weekend is April 4th, 5th, and 6th. Are you going? I don't know. You don't think you can? Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask your parents if they'll go. Would you mind if I did that? Okay. Yeah. Can you take off work? I don't know. I'm not your boss. Oh, for the 4th, 5th, and 6th? We're going to Young Christians Weekend, okay? April 4th, 5th, and 6th. You going to go? What do you mean if you can?
As long as it's not like prom or...
What if it's prom?
Probably not.
Are you going?
But I don't
Yeah.
think it would.
Did you go last year?
Yeah, she did.
Thought so.
I don't think it will be my prom because I go to North and they do theirs at a weird time.
Okay. Everybody check the dates because prom is it's typically around that time. It typically interferes. But starting in February, I'm going to have sign-up sheets, and I will determine how much everyone should pay, okay? Typically, I pay for the bulk of it out of our youth account. I think it costs us around $1,200 for the lodging, and then the youth typically will pay for the transportation down there. Probably the most expensive thing is renting vans, because we have to rent 2 vehicles typically to get us all down there. One year it was really cool. We rented a bus. That was so much fun. We had 62 people go. No. 62 people, and we filled up a tour bus, and it had everybody. We had watched movies on the way down, on the way back. It's pretty cool. I'd like to get back to being able to do that. That'd be awesome. Because we had a dedicated driver, and so we didn't have to worry about anything. And he could park a lot closer because the tour buses were given privilege. Actually, the tour bus was able to come up and pick us all up, which is kind of cool. But so it's going to cost approximately, probably about $3,500 to $4,000 for the youth account. to cover breakfast for Saturday and Sunday, transportation down, and lodging. You will be responsible probably for buying your ticket and how many meals? So, well, no, it's more than that. Well, maybe not. So we'll leave around noon on that Friday, hopefully. We'll have dinner, then 4 meals, 5 meals total. 2 at the park on Saturday, 1 at the park on Sunday, and then 1 on the way home. And then, so I think it's 5 meals plus any spending money. So it's really, I mean, realistically, it should cost you about $100 to $120 to go, unless I make a different decision on all the other stuff. But so start planning for that. I will have a flyer that I'll hand out in February that you can take home to your parents. You can invite your friends. This is a great opportunity to take your friends, and they can get introduced to our youth group. I might make a requirement that if you do invite a friend, they will have to be here at least one Monday before we go, just to be fair. Huh? 4th, 5th, and 6th. 4th, 5th, and 6th. The 6th, we should be home between 6 and 7 p.m. That's a Sunday night. I have not lost a kid yet, so I have a pretty good success rate of bringing everybody back, all right? There's been a few I've wanted to leave. I didn't lose you. How'd I lose you?
Because he was freaking out. I also got lost temporarily, but I'm sorry. But you got us all back here.
Was I worried about it?
I don't think you were.
I guarantee you I wasn't, because yeah, that's probably why. Nobody tells me. Well, I'm glad it's in April and not. I'm glad it's in April and not March, because it hopefully will be a little warmer. Nothing is more miserable than going to Silver Dollar City when it's 30 degrees and it's snowing. That was a miserable week. Was you there that year, Roy? Yeah, well, they wouldn't even open any rides until it got above freezing. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. They sold a lot of sweatshirts that year. All right, so what? Yeah. Excuse me. All right. So the title of my message tonight, we're going to have a little bit of a discussion, so be prepared. What are you going to do in 2025? What are you going to do in 2025? What are your plans? I'm not asking about New Year's resolutions. That's not what I'm asking. Last year, I nailed 2 of I did have resolutions for last year, and I nailed 2 of them. I drank water, a lot of water. I don't drink water by choice. I hate water. But last year I drank more water last year than I had the previous probably 10 years combined. It was ridiculous. And I read the Bible all the way through from Genesis to Revelation, so just straight through. I didn't go through one of the reading plans that kind of make you jump around. So this year I am hoping. Last year I wanted to learn to play the guitar. I didn't do that. So that is my goal this year. That's my primary goal. So what are you guys going to do? What's going to happen in 2025? What's the plan? So here's the reason it's the beginning of the year. I want us to kind of plan the year. I want us to think clearly about what are our expectations for this year. But in doing so, I actually went back and I looked at some of my previous New Year's messages. And one kind of struck me as very interesting. And we're going to talk about it for just a few minutes. 2020. Do you remember what happened in 2020? 2020, January of 2020. January of 2020, life was pretty normal. Life was, huh? In 2020? Yeah, now it's Los Angeles. Oh, yeah. No, murder hornets came later.
That was 2020.
No. It came after the COVID thing. Yeah, it did.
They hit California in February, and then everyone,
I think the murder hornets came from Seattle.
or maybe it was Seattle, but they hit America,
Yeah, but it was after COVID.
and then they spread through.
Yeah. So, and they're actually abolished now. I don't know if you noticed all that. So they're gone. So 2020, when we started 2020, we had a very positive outlook on the year, if you remember. This 5 years ago, is that crazy? It's crazy to me. 5 years ago, the world shut down. Everything changed. Everything changed 5 years ago. Okay, so in 2020, COVID hit. When do you remember? This is for some of you. This is, Okay, so hang on. Let me ask my question. How many of you remember the moment that you realized everything was going to be different? I'm going to tell you when mine was. What was yours?
My whole family was over at our friend's house, like with their family, and we were looking at, like, all of us were just gathered around phones, just looking at, like, what was happening, and this is when school, like, was canceled indefinitely, like, after the extended portion, and they're like, we're just canceling it until things die down.
Was it April or March? Do you remember?
It was late March.
Late March, okay. What was yours?
So, two brief moments. The first was when I realized that COVID was like a thing, like a big thing that was going to happen. Was this guy hopped onto our tour bus in Nashville and started shouting about COVID. There's a video of it. And then
Why were you in Nashville?
we were on a band choir.
Okay.
It was like
How exciting.
as it was hitting,
Yeah.
and then Nashville got shut down the day we left.
Wow.
But then
You shut down Nashville.
the day that I realized like it was gonna affect everything was when baseball practice got canceled.
Okay.
I was like, cancel their sports. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Doug, Roy, you guys have any recollection of when you realized that COVID was going to be a big deal? You shut your company down? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you. Here's when I knew that COVID. Go ahead.
I was like living here normal. I remember being in the living room and like Fox News is on, or Fox News is on, and they're like, yeah, it's like the president. I forgot who was it. Still Trump? I think.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like, okay, like everything's getting shut down, and then like I got an email that school was canceling off, and I wasn't allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah. So here's what. This is when I knew that it was serious, which was before the end of March. It was the beginning of March, because KU was ranked number 1 in basketball, and they were dominating that year, and the March Madness was about to start, and it was literally the Tuesday evening play-in game happened. Okay, so that game happened Wednesday. And this was actually the Big 12 tournament. This was before I don't know if I'm saying this right or not. Well, gosh, I can't remember. I think it was March Madness tournament. So Tuesday playing game, Wednesday they were starting games, and right in the middle of the day they started canceling games. And then they canceled all of the tournament. Okay, the tournament was not going to happen. Now, you guys probably think that I was bummed because KU was not going to have a chance to win the national championship, which I was. But the bigger thing to me was, do you have any idea how much money March Madness generates for colleges? It is a ridiculous amount of money, not only for the colleges, but also every city that hosts, okay? So the Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. We're getting it. We're all happy about that. And basketball tournament was about to start, and they canceled it That's never happened before. That's when I knew this was a serious, serious event. So So what I did is I went back to see how R2J we started that year, okay? Because in January, none of us really knew what, I mean, I think some people had heard of COVID, but we didn't realize how big it was, right? So R2J, here's what, I'm going to share some stuff that I shared that first message in January of 2020. So what we thought 2020 would look like, I'm going to go to the next slide, Roy. So what we thought 2020 would look like. This is, I got quotes from 1983 from this guy, Isaac Asimov, which he was a renowned science fiction writer, and he wrote a bunch of things in 1983 that he thought 2020 would be like. All right, so this guy in 1983, which for the record, I was a sophomore in high school in 1983, okay? So in 1983, this is what a science fiction writer, I'm going to give you a few things that this guy thought would be happening by 2020. Ready? First one is the mobile computerized object will penetrate the home, and the increasing complexity of society will make it impossible to live without this technology. What is he talking about? Your phone. Okay, in 1983, mobile phones were not a thing. We saw them on TV, but they were in briefcases, right? They were not something everybody would have. Isaac, he kind of nailed that on the head, only he was way late, because that started in the 90s, right? The next one he wrote was computers will disrupt work habits and replace old jobs with ones that are radically different. How was that true? Have computers, by 2020, had computers replaced jobs? What kind of jobs? Tell me what kind you think. Well, yeah. Bookkeeping, yeah. No ledgers anymore, right? It's all on a computer. In 83, it was still handwritten. Computers were there, but we didn't have all of the programs written to do that. This was still, you went to an accountant and he filled in your forms with a pencil, right? The next one, which is where you're going, is robotics will kill routine clerical and assembly line jobs. Is that accurate? Not accurate. They're not killing the jobs, but there are robots out there doing jobs. Assembly lines, like for what we would define a robot, there are robotics, like robotic arms that you can on the car assembly lines that can put parts on and things like that. But so they're there, but I wouldn't say that they really replaced clerical jobs as much as he probably would have thought. Now this one I thought was really funny. Isaac thought that we would have humans have settlements on the moon. So in 1983, the science fiction writer thought in 2020 we would have human settlements on the moon. There was some accuracy there. Some things clearly are not. So these are just a few things that this guy looked 27 years into the future of what would be going on. 27 years ago is when they were looking, right? So we're 5 years past that at this point. Okay? Where are we going to be in 2025? That's the question. That's what we're asking. In 2020, when we were talking about this, what are we going to do in 2020? None of us had any expectation that the entire world was going to change in less than 3 months. You were forced into virtual learning, right? Was that good or bad? You didn't learn anything. Yeah.
Because they gave you A's on everything. I didn't try on any of my stuff, but they couldn't
They-
read it. How Tommy did is they said that as long as you turned in assignments, they did not have to be fully done. They didn't have to be correct. As long as you turned them in, the grades from the previous semester would transfer over. Well, I was all A's. I was in speech class, and I didn't have to give any of my speeches.
Yeah. And why is that? Because they were not prepared for this major shift in how things are going on, right? They were not prepared. All right, so here's what about people, what? Because for their internet? Yeah, it changed everybody. It changed business. I traveled, ironically, so the first few months we were all locked down. We couldn't go to church. You had online church. You had online everything. Once it started opening up, the job I had at the time, I had to travel a lot. I traveled extensively. I traveled to Minneapolis regularly. I traveled to Stamford, Connecticut, New York City, Providence, Rhode Island. And I remember, how many of you have ever flown in to LaGuardia Airport? Anybody? LaGuardia Airport is a very busy airport in downtown. I mean, you can see down, you have to fly over downtown Manhattan to get there. And so it's in New York City, right? I remember flying in or out of LaGuardia, and I was one of 8 people in the terminal. Flyers, passengers. I had the whole front of the plane to myself. You didn't just have the 3 seats, you had the entire row. And sometimes in front and back. It was nuts. I've never seen travel like that. So let's talk about your age. What did kids your age in 1983 think was going to happen in 2020? Here we go. Manderson Hyattville High School juniors in John Tate's American History class, also from 1983. This is what they thought about the future. And they were stupid, just like you. Just like young people today might be. The movies, unlike in 1983, will all be in 3D. They thought every movie would be three-dimensional in 2020. And the movies would all deal with space. No more mountain scenes and no more westerns. Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah, I don't know. They're wrong. They're majorly run. Oh, here's a fun fact. Here's a fun fact. I want to share this with you. How many of you have ever watched the cartoon The Jetsons? Have you? Okay. The Jetsons. Do you know right now George Jetson would be 2.5 years old based on when it was predicted in the future? He was 40 when it actually happened during the program, but George Jetson right now would be 2.5 years old because he would have been born in August of 2022. Yeah, so futuristic thinking there. So this one I also thought was funny. The next one is almost every American will have had something to do with space travel. Our technology will be so advanced so that it will be an everyday task to send somebody into space. 1983, everybody's going to space. Now, I will say, how many of you know what Starlink is? Raise your hand if you know what Starlink is. What is it? Who designed it? Who put it together? Elon Musk. Starlink, literally, me and my wife, this was when we lived in our previous home. We went outside, we were playing with the dogs at night. It was beautiful, clear sky, and we looked up, and all of a sudden we saw the first one I thought was a shooting star, because it just kept going. And I thought, that's not a shooting star, because it's on a defined line. And then there was another one, and another one. And there were like 15 of these suckers. I videoed it, because I thought, okay, what's going on? I didn't know what Starlink was at the time. And it's the series of satellites that Musk has in orbit that just constantly orbits the Earth in line to provide internet access to people in remote areas.
It just blows my mind. Like, how is that legal? Like, how do you
Well, it's not shooting out lasers. Yeah, I'm sure it's legal. He just
Seriously, like that blows my mind.
no one's territory.
nobody owns it. Nobody. Well, which is why the United States was hurrying to be the first person on the moon, because, what was the first satellite, or not? It wasn't a satellite. Well, I guess it was a satellite. What was the first satellite that Russia put up? Sputnik. They put that sucker up there, and all of a sudden the space race was on. Right, this thing was orbiting the Earth, and we did not want to be, second place. So that's why we put man on the moon. We're not all going into space. So the next one that they have is there will also be the beginning of a hovercraft around the year 2013. This is a small jet that drives much like a car, yet doesn't touch the ground. Within 15 years after this craft is manufactured, everyone will own one.
We have trains like that.
We have trains?
Like with magnets where they have them.
Yeah. What's the purpose of that? No, the hovercraft, they have, actually, the military had them years ago, where you could go over water and land. Yeah. That's nothing new. They just are saying that everybody's going to own a hovercraft. It's fans. Literally, it's a lot high-powered fans that just kind of raise you up. And why do we need them?
No. Why don't our planes like that?
That's the better question. We don't need them.
Well, the hovercraft is literally, it will hover over something solid, right? It's not going to hover like a plane.
That's what I was saying.
So I actually think, well, we're going to talk about this in just a second. Again, I'm reminiscing on what we talked about in 2025, because that year was messed up, right? I think we can all agree. So obviously we don't all own a hovercraft. So here's something I did for fun. How many of you use any AI device? Anybody? You use Chat GPT?
A little bit for distracts.
Okay. What do you use? For what? Writing your. Are you cheat? Oh, messages to his girlfriend?
No, actually.
No. Did it write? Do you have it write papers for you?
No, not papers.
Don't lie to me. You're in church.
I don't use ChatGPT to write papers.
Okay. So I went. What? What?
I don't think you can say that. I use it whenever I don't know what to say in a situation. I say, so this is what happened. What should I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I use it for that, and I use it to like I put ideas of like what I like like a question, so I could help answer. It just like helps me write my paper. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think it's, you know what, I'm not against it. I'm not against it. I think we got to be careful with it, because it's very, very knowledgeable, right? So here's what I did. I went to Chat GPT, and I asked the question. I asked Chat GPT to predict what would be different in 10 years. Okay? And here's, I'm gonna read it to you. Here's what, I don't have it up on the screen. Predicting the future is always speculative, but here are some trends and possibilities for how the world might look in 2035. 2035, 10 years. Yeah, isn't that crazy? So I do have I think the high level in here. We'll see what shows up. Technology and innovation. Is that up there, Roy? Okay. Technology and innovation. AI integration. Artificial intelligence will likely be deeply integrated into daily life, powering everything from personalized health care to autonomous transportation. You know what that is? Self-driving vehicles. And education systems. Quantum computing. Breakthroughs in quantum computing could revolutionize fields like encryption, drug discovery, and complex data modeling. Space exploration. This one seems to be on every list. Actually, I think this is possible. Human missions to Mars might become a reality, and ChatGPT, like the dude in 1983 says, and lunar bases may be established for research and resource extraction. I don't know. What's there? I don't know that anybody really knows what the moon might have. So here's a question for you. You ready, Lily? When you see the moon, does the moon rotate? Right. That's very intelligent. We only see one side of the moon. The side that we see just follows us. As we are spinning, it's spinning with us, right? We only see one side of the moon. So the dark side of the moon, no one's ever seen it, right? Other than the astronauts that went around, but it's dark, right? So we have no idea really what may or may not be there at this point. Healthcare advances, ChatGPT. Okay, listen, this one scares me a little bit. Gene editing. Technologies like CRISPR may lead to cures for genetic diseases and customized medical treatments. Aging and longevity. Advances in anti-aging research could extend life expectancy and improve the quality of life for older populations. Well, I don't know. This is 10 years in the future. The next one that it listed, I asked this question, and within like 10 seconds, this whole list came up. Energy and environment. Renewable energy dominance. Solar, wind, and other renewable sources will likely supply the majority of global energy needs. You believe that? Who thinks that's true? Climate change adaptation. Cities will adopt more green infrastructure, such as vertical gardens, climate-resilient buildings, and advanced water management systems, which would actually, the last part of it, well, all of that really, in third world countries could be very, very valuable. That's a great question. Ask ChatGPT real quick. Climate-resilient buildings. The next one, do you have it? I'll wait here. Is it loading? Huh? Huh? Well, I mean, you know. So climate resilient buildings is mainly those that will hopefully have self-sustaining energy sources and better protective of the environment. So let's talk about the environment really quick. Climate change. I read last week where some of the largest glaciers on the globe lost 100 yards of ice the past year. Think about that. Like from the top down, football field length, just melted, right? So so here's the deal. I'm going to give you my opinion. What are your thoughts on climate change? Or what? You don't believe in climate change? Let's ask a different question. What's the other word or the other phrase they use for it? Global warming. Do you believe in global warming? Okay. See, I believe in climate change. Yes. Global warming is that they are, and I am not a scientist, so I'm not providing this as evidence, but global warming, as I understand it, is all of the things that we do on this earth for energy right now, specifically oil-based, petroleum-based, or fossil fuel-based, coal. All these coal plants that are burning, you have all this stuff going up in the atmosphere, right? And I'm going to use what's going on right now in California with the fires. Those fires are burning and burning everything. Where's all that smoke go? It goes up in the atmosphere, right? Eventually it will dissipate, but it does cause some level of atmospheric challenge for the earth to stay a constant temperature, right? That's part of it. So I'm gonna go way back, and this I can prove. No, I can't prove, but I have some guys here on Wednesday. If you want to come see them on Wednesday, they can prove it. The firmament. You guys know? Have you heard the word the firmament? You should if you've read the Bible. In Genesis, it talks about the firmament. The firmament, God created to cover the globe. Okay? So I'm going to give you some really interesting facts for just a couple minutes about the firmament. This is global warming related or climate change related. Global warming and climate change to me are two separate things. The firmament. In the Bible, God created the firmament to protect the globe. And the evidence is the Garden of Eden was a perfect place. Everybody agree? I don't think there were rose. If there were rose bushes, they did not have thorns. I don't think there were weeds. I don't think there was anything that was going to choke out life. I think it was perfect. I think the lawn was perfectly manicured all the time. If you're like me, I don't walk outside barefoot because I have very sensitive feet. But I think in the Garden of Eden, I would have been able to walk everywhere comfortably, right? It is speculated that the entire globe was right around 74 degrees. The entire globe. How is that possible? The firmament. The entire globe. So when you look at the world, the entire globe was 74 degrees. That means the North Pole and the South Pole was the same temperature as what we consider the Sahara Desert or the Mojave Desert, 74 degrees. How is that possible? The firmament. Okay, and here's how I know that it was possible. One of the many reasons I know. It's scientifically proved that coral, like a coral reef, can only survive in 74-degree temperatures. It has to average 74 degrees for coral to survive. So there are coral reefs in the Gulf of Mexico, in the warmer climates in Australia. There are areas where there are these huge coral reefs. Coral is a living object, right? So how do I know that it was 74 degrees all across the globe? Because scientists have gone to the bottom of the ocean under Antarctica, the North Pole, and have brought up fossilized coral. Everybody with me? So at one time, the entire world, God created a perfect world. Well, I wouldn't mind it, would you? That would be perfect. You can go golfing, you can play softball, you can go swimming, you can do all the fun stuff, right? I would love that, right? Well, that's fine by me. So, hang on. So what happened? Why did that change? What? The flood? Why did it change? Sin. Sin came in, and so that disrupted the entire thing. And you go from chapter 1 of Genesis to chapter 6 of Genesis, and that's when the flood happened. So in 6 chapters, the world was destroyed. Everybody pay attention for just a second, because this is I like this kind of stuff. When the world was destroyed, I personally don't know that there were mountains before the flood. Not flat, but not mountains, right? Because I think the reason we have animals on every continent and why there were people on every continent is because at one time it was all connected. And if you look at the shape of Africa to South America and all that, you can see where it can somewhat fit together, right? So the scientific evidence is when the flood occurred, everybody listen, the firmament came down. It was water-based. And the other thing was it protected us from solar rays, right? We didn't have, fair-skinned people. We're not going to get sunburned under the firmament. But when the firmament was gone, there was a lack of protection. The water came down, which is the reason the flood happened so quickly. If it rained right now for 40 days straight where we're sitting, we would have, the Stranger Creek would flood. There are low-level areas that would flood. But it would have to pour for 40 days. The fact that this boat was afloat so quickly, there had to be something else happen. Because prior to that, they did not experience rain. So the firmament fell down, water covered the globe. Also, water came up from beneath. What happened with this is all the tectonic plates started to shift. And here's the evidence of that, right? You can go up into the mountains, in the Rocky Mountains, and you can find petrified clamshells. Why? Clams are only going to be in the ocean. The reason why is because when this happened and this shift took place, the plates were just, suddenly ramming into each other to create these mountain ranges across the globe. God was a very intentional design, had a very intentional design for our earth. So when we're talking about global warming, I have this much concern about global warming. Nothing. I am not concerned. You know why? Because God is in control. This world is going to last exactly as long as He wants it to last. I am not going to worry about global warming. Climate change, however, is different. Climate change, there's a lot of stuff that we're doing differently. I think the amount of trash that we're producing that does not, we can't. It's not going to biodegrade fast enough. All the plastic stuff that we have. I read somewhere, and I don't know. This number is probably not going to be accurate, but the blades of the wind farms, those huge blades. You guys seen them? I've seen them on trains. I've seen them on trucks. Those things are huge, right? They are tearing these suckers down almost as fast as they're putting them up and burying them they're not going to biodegrade. They're going to be there as long as we can think, right? Until somebody comes up with an idea of how, to get rid of them. Do you realize that the amount of the petroleum it takes to make a plastic fan blade, or they're not plastic, but you get my point. When you make the amount of petroleum it takes to make these, not to mention the amount of petroleum it takes to get them from point A to point B, not to mention the amount of petroleum it takes to build the engines that run and oil those engines. I'm not saying that we can't get wind power, but it's not, I don't feel that we're helping our environment by putting all these things into play. I think God created us to be smart enough to manage this system, right? Global warming is going to be a problem when God decides to burn the earth. We're not going to be here. I don't worry about it. You shouldn't worry about it. That's my opinion. ChatGPT on work and education said, remote work evolution. Virtual and augmented reality tools may redefine how we collaborate and work remotely. Lifelong learning education systems will emphasize lifelong learning with AI tutors providing personal instruction. Let me share just real quick. I want to make sure I get my thought back here. So in 1996, in Los Angeles, California, they designed this engineering system they called the caves. These caves were a new technology. How many of you have seen, the 3D stuff that you see on Star Trek or whatever, Star Wars, all the different things, 3D images, when you see Obi-Wan Kenobi as a 3D image. Well, they actually created something in 1996 that was a 3D rendering of architectural drawings. So basically, you could scan in architectural drawings into this supercomputer system, and you would walk into what they called a cave, which was a room about half this size, and engineers could walk in and they would click a button, and all of a sudden that building that they were trying to construct would show up in the center of the room in a 3D hologram. So they could literally walk through the building before they ever built it. That sound interesting? To be able to create a 3D hologram where all of the engineers could walk around, they could discuss it, they could walk through it. We have a lot of technology out there today that is going to dominate, I think, in the next 10 years. We have come so far in the last 5 years. I can't remember I need to go find the cycle, because from like 1800 to 1700 to 1800, it was a very slow progression for technological advances. 1800 to 1900, it soared. 1900 to 2000, it was nuts. I mean, the amount of technology improvement was crazy. And from 2000 to now, it's probably more than quadrupled everything previous to that. So our technology is not a bad thing. It's not a great thing. Do you realize all of our phones that we have in here right now are listening to us? Matter of fact, I'm going to ask anybody, if you go home and anything that I discussed tonight that wasn't previously on your phone that pops up, I want you to tell me. Our technology is listening to us. Social changes, demographic shifts, aging populations in developed countries, and growing urbanization in developing ones could reshape economies and infrastructure. Cultural norms. Continued globalization and digital connectivity might lead to new hybrid cultural norms and identities. The fact that we can have church here on Sunday morning and Kenya can watch it, we would not think about doing that 20 years ago. Now we are leading churches in a completely different continent through the availability of technology. Wild cards. Breakthrough discoveries, unpredicted scientific discoveries like revolutionary energy sources or entirely new materials could dramatically reshape society. There was, how many of you guys like Mission Impossible movies? Anybody? I like Mission Impossible movies. Tom Cruise, there was one that he was on where this guy made this little battery. And this battery, this tiny battery, like a AAA battery, could power an entire city. Okay? Everybody was trying to get this technology, right? They were trying to steal this kid. He was a brilliant kid, made this battery. Well, what they found out was this battery, while it had enough power to power an entire city, it also was very unstable. And so it ended up blowing up, and that was catastrophic, right? We have so much intelligence and technology today that this last thing that I just said is talking about scientific discoveries on how we can use materials that we have on this earth to create new power. One thing that they're really looking at, and they have for a long time, I think it would be smarter if we would invest in it, is hydrogen power. It's a cleaner, pure source of power, and it's something that we have plenty of. So I think there's going to be new things coming. Global challenges. Events such as pandemics, geopolitical shifts, or environmental crisis could influence priorities and innovation. Everybody hear that last thing I just said? Events such as pandemics that we just went through, geopolitical shifts. Are we going through that now? How? Tell me something. There's some recent news about geopolitical shifts.
Remind me what it is and I can tell you.
Geopolitical, we're talking about our politics for the United States is the United States. Okay, but geopolitical means that there's a shift throughout the globe from one political source to another political source, right? So we have us and Putin, right, which is Russia. We have us and Netanyahu, which is Israel. Yeah, and we have Ukraine. We have all of these geopolitical places, right? But Trump has brought this up in the past 2 weeks in things that he wants to do. Geopolitical. Canada. He wants to make Canada the 51st state. There's another country. Greenland. He wants to buy Greenland. Okay, and you know what? That was shot down by Denmark because they are the ones that are financially responsible for Greenland. But so this was kind of shot. He brought it up, and his son went there, and then a couple days later they shot it down. Like, yeah, this is not going to happen. Today in the news, there was actual interest in making that purchase. Are y'all listening to this? The United States as a country is very powerful. Do you realize, and this is not a Trump versus Biden thing, when Trump was elected president, Hamas, which they backed off immediately. Putin is now talking to Trump about potentially ending the war in Ukraine. He's not even in office yet, right? Why is it important? I'm just curious what your thoughts are, and if you guys have any back in the back, I'd be curious as well. Why is it important? Why would we even be interested in Greenland? What resources does Greenland have? Do you realize Greenland is ice covered? Iceland is not. Greenland is. You can't make that stuff up. No, hang on. What were you saying?
I guess they changed the name because they wanted people in Iceland to move to Greenland.
Why does Trump want Greenland? What do you guys think? Do you have an opinion? Here's my opinion. Here's why I think Trump wants Greenland. Greenland is a great location for our military to have an established, military location in Greenland that is very accessible to Northern Europe and specifically Russia. It's a big landmass that if we occupied it and we possessed it, could have a lot. It's no different than what Cuba would have been to Russia back in the 60s. You guys probably don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay, yes, good. You are smart. I'm impressed. I think that's why he's saying that. I don't know why he wants Canada necessarily. Yeah, literally. But Greenland, I can see that as being a geopolitical resource to us. So I'm saying, ChatGPT is saying this has happened. These are discussions that are out there right now. I also think that a lot of things that Trump says, like changing Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, you haven't heard that? You guys really need to listen to a little bit of the news. He wants to make it Gulf of America. I think a lot of this stuff is Trump just throws it out there because he wants people talking about that while he does other things. It distracts us, right? But anyway, so real quick, let's discuss where we are and where we want to be. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you guys as individuals. Where are you right now? Maribel, what grade are you in? 8th? What, are you guys all in the same grade? Okay, you're in 8th grade. So you guys are, no offense, you're younger. You have several years still of going through school to get to graduate and then decide what kind of career path you want to take, right? You already know what you want to be? What do you want to be? You want to be a lawyer? You do? So are you going to join the debate team in high school? So you guys got some time. There are some of you that are, who's a senior in here? No, junior, sophomore, senior, junior. What grade are you in? 9th? Junior? So you guys, most of you in here have at least another year, except for him, hope you don't go anywhere, of high school of left. And so you have some time to kind of figure some of this stuff out. But I'm telling you, if we look back just 5 years, 2020, we had no expectation the world was going to change, right? 2020, we had zero idea that in just a few months, you could not walk for your graduation. You could not have graduation parties. You could not, go to prom was canceled. We have zero guarantee of what's going to happen this year. What is your plan? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? In 2020, I posed several questions for the mentors to review and come back with their answers. We are now 5 years beyond that time frame. And the last question that I asked them that year, the first week in January of 2020, the last question I asked the mentors to review was this: where will R2J be by 2021? So I'm going to ask that question again in a different way. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be by 2026? All of you, every day we wake up and we make choices every day. 2020 changed everybody in this room. It changed everybody in this city. It changed everybody that was alive in 2020. It has changed all of us. Do you realize there are kindergarten kids that are going to be in school this year that have no recollection of what 2020 was and what it did? They have zero clue. You guys know, you experienced it. Some of you that are older, you experienced it in a more difficult way than some of the younger ones did. It has changed everything. I battle 2020 every day. At my job, 2020 created the remote work environment. Now, trying to get people to come back to an office and work is like pulling teeth. We cannot find people that want to go to work. They want to stay at home. Do you know, I heard this on the radio today and I thought it was crazy. Do you know in the UK, I don't know if it's Cambridge or which college it is, do you know they have a class for how to have a conversation on the phone? Yes, because Gen Z don't like to talk on the phone. They like to text. I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying that this generation, we have lost touch with communication. Let me ask you this question. Can you tell how a person is speaking to you through text? Sometimes. Why? Because you use punctuation? Oh.
I'll be like, Lexi, she'll be like, what? Like, why did she say it?
And she thinks like I'm mad or something.
Right.
She is.
So if you would have answered the phone and said, what?
I would have still thought she was.
Our level of communication has changed drastically. I'm going to ask you a question because I don't know the answer to this. Has dating changed since 2020? How? You meet you literally you don't go anywhere. You're on video, right? Isn't that lame? Well, that's a fact. No offense to any men that are in the room. I gotta be careful. All right.
You might as well say it.
No, I'm not going to. I'm going to wrap this up and we're going to close with a few worship songs. What's that? Will I tell you after? Well, okay, I'll say it. I'll just say it. We might have to cut out a song, but here's what I'm going to say. What is chivalry? What is it? Don't tell him. What is it? What do you think it is?
It's like pursuing someone in a respectful way.
Okay. What?
Give an example.
Go.
We were stuck in a snow-filled parking lot, and I stayed in the van, and Camden dug cars out, and then when he finally got his car out, he pulled around, and then came back and carried me across the entire parking lot so I wouldn't have to walk in snow.
Okay. So there, Doug, Roy, has chivalry changed in our lifetime? Why? Can you tell me why? Hang on. Tell me why. One more time. Women's rights. Women, which I agree with. Everybody listen, this is important, I feel. Women's rights, you guys fought women's rights. And for the record, I feel, no, none of them in the room fought. This is where women's rights, even before I was old enough to understand, they were fighting for a lot of equal rights. And I think it's important that there are equal rights. I mean, my sister was an incredible athlete, and she did not benefit from her athleticism due to inequality at school for women's sports in the 70s. My sister could beat most of you guys in the room at pretty much anything. When in an apples to apples thing, she was incredibly talented. So I'm all for women's rights, but here's where it damaged women. It made men weak. Because men, okay, if you're equal to me, you open your own door. I'm not saying it's right. I am not saying it's right. I feel we still should be kind. We should be considerate. We should be helpful. And ladies, if you are not holding your boyfriend responsible for being that kind of person, it's on you. Hold him accountable. Make him open doors. Make him pick. Now, I'm not against going Dutch, when you first start dating until you realize, okay, this is important. But at some point, he needs to take care of you. That's my opinion. You can take it or leave it. Chivalry is not dead, but women's rights, fighting for that, has changed the entire dynamic. Now, and I'm going to tell you, this is what ticks me off. You ready? I'm way off topic, but I am sick and tired of transgender invading women's rights. There is nothing right about that. How do you fight for something and then give it away because of, I don't get it. That drives me nuts. Am I the only one? I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. I think it's ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. I said what I said. Everybody listen to this. I'm going to wrap it up. 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5. This is what it says. You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times. For people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. So, choose today to do what God wants you to do. That is my stance. That's my statement for all of you all the time. I want you to know where you stand. I want you to know what you want to do. I want you to pursue it, but I want you to put God first in everything. Do you agree? Go. Do I feel what? Do I feel sorrowful and? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but it's like any other mental illness. There are a lot of people that struggle with depression. I put it right in the same category, or anxiety, and it cripples them. So I'm going to tell you, this week has been a challenging week for us. A young lady that lived with us for a few years, I would say she was one of our adopted daughters. Her dad went in the hospital unexpectedly, taken by an ambulance. He passed away yesterday. I don't know where he stands with God, but this young lady, who is mid late 20s, it was devastating to her. Where we have to put God first in everything. This young lady can be crippled by insecurity. Awesome lady. We love her to death. We're going to support her through all of that, right? Mental illness, whether it's depression, which I suffered through at one point in my life, anxiety, whether it's not knowing what gender you are, whether it's not knowing I'm going to be honest, I think there's not a person in this room that has not suffered with something from a mental illness standpoint at some point. Now, you can be overcomer. I suffered with bad depression for about 4 or 5 years, but I overcame it. I think we can overcome those things. There's not a person in this room, regardless of what your issue is, that I don't love and that I won't support, ever. That's a standard, right? But the moment that if my depression changes any one of your futures, we got to be careful. And that's what's happening right now, is there are people out there that have mental illness that are controlling our society, and it's a very small percentage, and it's very dangerous because it's teaching kids. Let me ask you this question, and anybody can answer this. And I'm not against gays. I'm not against, the homosexual group. I have that in my own family. Okay? I will love them and support them as a person, but not for what they stand for, okay? I can't. The Bible won't allow me to. So here's my question. And this is going to happen to all of you at some point, when somebody comes up to you and makes you choose, whether it's your employer, your teacher, your professor, it makes you go against what the Bible stands for, what are you going to do? It's going to happen. I've had it in my work environment where we recently went through our employee handbook to accommodate people. Now, I have not had to personally sacrifice my beliefs for that. But what was that last slide, Roy? Sorry. What do you want to do what do you want to do? Choose today to do what God wants you to do. Guys, I'm telling you, if you don't know what you stand for right now, you're going to fall for anything. You have to know what you stand for. And I'm going to tell you, the Bible, there's nothing in it that does not support us 100%. The Bible is not anti-homosexual. It's not anti-transgender. It's not anti that. It's like, I love you more than you love yourself. Let me help you. Put your trust in God. God is going to straighten out all of that stuff. That's what I believe. And you know what? I've had, I think I've shared this before. I'll share it real quick if the band can get on stage. There was a time several years ago when I had a young man that had been coming to youth regularly. He'd been there for months. And after youth one night, he pulled me aside and he says, "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?" I said, "Absolutely." He pulled me aside and he said, "I'm gay. Can I still come here?" I didn't hesitate. I said, "Absolutely." And I already knew. Absolutely, you can come here. This is church. This is where you need to be. You know, there's not a person sitting here or standing here today that we don't have things that we need to figure out. And I'm saying me, myself. I still need to plan for where God wants me to go and ask Him and communicate with Him. I need to figure that out. All of you do too. I don't want the world to distract me, though. I don't want what somebody else puts into law that's anti what God would do to define my choice. Does that make sense? We have to be super careful of that. That there's a song, stand up for Jesus. We have got to stand up for Jesus all the time. We're going to sing two. We're going to sing two songs. Which two do you want? Which one? Motions and Refiner. We're going to sing two songs. Matter of fact, this first song I want you to pay close attention to. It talks about how we cannot just go through the motions. We have to be purposeful about our relationship with God.
hurt, it's not safe, but I know that I gotta make a change. I don't care if I break, at least I'll be feeling something. It's just okay, it's not enough. Help me find through the nothingness of life. 'Cause I don't wanna go through the motions. I don't wanna go one more day without your all-consuming passion inside of me. I don't wanna spend my whole life asking, what if I had given everything instead of going through the motions? No regrets, not this time. Gonna let my heart defeat my mind. Let your love make me whole. I think I'm finally feeling something. It's just okay, it's not enough. Gotta fight through the nothingness of this life. 'Cause I don't wanna go through the motions. I don't wanna go one more day without your all-consuming passion inside of me. I don't wanna spend my whole life asking, what if I had given everything instead of going through the motions? Take me all the way, take me all the way, take me all the way. 'Cause I don't wanna go, I don't wanna go feeling something. I don't wanna go through the motions. I don't wanna go through the motions. I don't wanna go one more day without your all-consuming passion inside of me. 'Cause I don't wanna spend my whole life asking, what if I had given everything instead of going through the motions? Take me all the way, take me all the way. I don't wanna go, take me
Those are two really good songs to end on. Specifically, starting out a new year. I don't know why it has to be that a new year we start new things, right? Or we maybe it's just to plant a flag somewhere and say, okay, from this point on, I want to do something different. I've made a ton of resolutions in my life. I've made a ton of things that I wanted to do differently. I'm just going to ask a question, generic question, and I would like everybody to respond. Are there things that you personally would really like to do differently in 2026 or 2025? How many? You know, it could be simple things like I want to get better grades, or I want to be kinder, or I want to, really focus on getting this new job or whatever. You know who's in control of that? You are. And God can help. If we put God first in everything that we do, God tells us He will guide and direct our path. We got to give Him an opportunity to. We got to take Him seriously. Don't go through the motions. Don't just come here on Mondays and this is part of the motion. I'm going to church. I'm making my parents happy. I'm going to church. Make God first. Have Him purify us. Put Him first. I'm going to close in prayer. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to ask everybody to help me put things back together. It's just the front row mainly. Make sure trash gets in the trash can. Guys, I want R2J to be different in 2025. I want it to be better. I don't know how that's going to work. I want it to be better. I need your help. I can't do it by myself. Let's make a choice to whatever situation we're in, we put God first, and we try to make 2025 better for not only Him, but for us. Will you do that with me? Let's pray. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the young people that are here. God, thank you for those that didn't make it tonight, but have other things going on. God, I anticipate they'll be back soon. God, 2020 was a horrible year. And the couple years after were not great. God, we've kind of got back into a groove, but it's a different groove. 2024 was a good year. But God, I anticipate 2025 to be a great year. I want it to be. I want to see what you want from me. And God, I want all of these young people, for whatever it is that they want to change in their life, God, empower them to do so. Guide them, steer them in the right direction. Put people in their lives that will enable them to be who you want them to be. God, my prayer is that all of their relationships will be ones of encouragement, of support, that will drive them towards you and not away from you. God, as we enter into this 2025 year, God, like in 2020, we had expectations. God, we have expectations this year too. God, I'm asking that you use all of us for your glory. And God, as we leave this place tonight, as I always ask, take everybody home safely, protect them, and bring them back next week. We ask this in Jesus' name. Everyone said, amen. I love you guys.